Morning to all, welcoming you all once again to this session. We are so glad that you are able to make it today for our second session on tips for a healthy marriage. Like I said last time during our first session, we believe whether you are newlyweds, seasoned partners, or simply preparing for your marriage, today's session is designed to inspire, encourage, and maybe even surprise you a little bit. I am Jojo, your host for the day. This event is brought to you by Jeevan Jala Sewa Samiti, a team of passionate individuals committed to helping people navigate life's challenges with hope and wisdom. It's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Sunil Abraham Ninan. He is a senior consultant pediatrician. He completed his MBBS and MD in pediatrics, senior residency from AIIMS, New Delhi, followed by MRCPCH from London in 2001. He has practiced in Kerala for many years and now resides in Kotanur, Bangalore. Along with his wife, Dr. Shanti, he has been actively mentoring young couples and guiding them in marriage and parenting for over 2 decades. He is also a proud father to Hannah and John. Let's give him a warm welcome as he takes us through today's session. Over to you, Dr. Sunil.
A very good morning to all of you. So glad to be with you all. And today I would be talking about tips for healthy marriage, part 2. Part 1 of my talk through this JJSS platform is already there in the YouTube, and that would be given in the description in the YouTube video. Well, before I go to today's session, let me quickly review the part 1 of the session. I started by saying that actually the data suggests marriage as an institution is losing its importance in the society. People are saying, why do we need a piece of paper in order to love one another? Well, there needs to be a public promise or vows of future love. There needs to be a marriage level of commitment love. There needs to be a legal, lifelong, exclusive commitment. We talked about the Hindu view of marriage, how in the Hindu view of marriage, people take this Sat Fere, 7 times they go around the fire, talking of the permanence of that relationship, and the Christian concept of marriage as a covenant relationship, not as a mere contract. So we tackle this question, why marry at all? Because only marriage can give a stable companionship, even in the old age. In marriage, we don't have to keep proving to one another every day and put up facades, unlike in a living relationship or any other kind of relationship. And only marriage can provide a secure environment for the children to flourish and grow. And also, we need to marry because the religious reasons, all the religions, they emphasize the importance of marriage. And even if you look at the financial reasons, 2 are better than 1. Now, what is the foundation for a healthy, lasting marriage? And I talked about how romantic love is not the foundation for a healthy, lasting marriage. You see, romance can come and go. But the foundation for a healthy, lasting marriage is commitment love. Commitment love. That is the foundation. And then He talked about why most marriages are failing. Well, because most marriages are based on a consumer kind of a contract. There's a lot of importance given to individual freedom, autonomy, for self-fulfillment in the marriage. So the self-centeredness is one that really destroys the marriage. And finally, people start expecting from the spouse what only God can give. Sometimes people put too much stress on their partner. They want everything from their partner. Partner is not God, come on. And we ended by saying that, well, good relationships needs to be worked on. It will not come naturally. People have some kind of you know, a kind of a filmy understanding of marriage. They say, there was a Prince Charming and he met this wonderful lady and then they got married and they lived happily ever after. Well, most of the times that's not the case. Relationships needs to be worked on. It will not come naturally. Those of you who are into science, you know, everything if you leave it, the entropy will increase. There will be more disorder. You see, if you just leave things just like that, it will not suddenly become more ordered. It will become more disordered. So if things have to become ordered, if things have to grow, you need to work on it. So now, today I will come to, I'll be talking to you about 5 tips. Please understand that I cannot speak everything about marriage in 40-45 minutes. So it would not be an exhaustive talk. But nevertheless, I thought I will speak about 5 major areas which would be helpful for my viewers, listeners. So what's the first tip I want to give is far better to give than to receive. What do I mean by that? In most of the marriages, what's the major problem? The husband says, the wife is not doing her job. Wife is not giving to me what she should be giving. She's not giving respect to me, she's not helping me, she's not encouraging me, or whatever. Or sexual satisfaction to me, whatever. The wife also in turn has another list of, probably a bigger list of complaints, saying the husband is not caring for me, he is not compassionate, he is not kind, he is not merciful, he is not helping me, etc., etc. So both parties are saying the other party is not giving. In other words, they are saying they are not receiving. Now, just think of the other side. If both the sides, rather than focusing on what they are receiving, if they were focused on giving to the other side, how much better it would have been. Well, the only caveat in this tip number 1 is, you see, if both sides have to keep on giving, then they have to also receive from somewhere, isn't it? And that's someone, according to me, is God. You have to receive from God and give to your spouse. Otherwise, after some time of giving, your reserves will be over, and you will say, I have given enough, and I am not receiving, and I am leaving this relationship. You see. So, but the best policy is to give, and if both sides are giving, that marriage will be a healthy marriage. I'll move on to second tip, and that is, both husband and wife must leave their father and mother and cleave to one another. That means, cleave means become one. What do I mean by that? Well, this is not my original piece of wisdom. This is been taken from the Bible. in the book of Genesis, there is this verse, and this verse is repeated 4 times in the whole of the Bible. A man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. Well, I have underlined the word leave his father. Then he shall be joined to his wife, and they become one flesh. So, first of all, let me tell you what leaving doesn't mean. A man shall leave his father and mother doesn't mean that, okay, bye bye. Now I needed you all this while. Now that I'm married, now that I have a wife, I don't need you anymore. Bye bye, see you. Not at all. Because our parents, they are people who have brought us up, they need to be honored till their death. And it's especially in their old age that they need us all the more. So, a man shall leave his father and mother certainly doesn't mean that we need to leave the father and mother in the sense of not caring for them or not looking after them. No, that is not the meaning of leaving. Then what does leaving mean? You have to leave something. Leaving means a man, till he is married, he is under his parents, under the authority of his parents. But when he gets married, he becomes a part of another family, and in this case, a new family, where he gets joined to his wife. Now, he's not under his parents, not under the authority of his parents. And leaving also means, if it's a healthy leaving, then you leave from the financial and emotional dependence on the parents. You know, there always comes a time when a child has to leave. Now, I am a neonatologist and pediatrician. You know, when a baby who is there in the womb, when the baby comes out, you have to do something, and that is cut the umbilical cord. Till that time, the baby was getting all the nourishment from the mother. But the time comes when that thing has to stop and that child has to live independently. Somewhat similarly, the man and the woman both have to leave their parents in the sense of their dependence upon the parents, their financial dependence, their emotional dependence. You see, I ask a question to many people, and let me ask you also. Okay? I hope you are ready. The main culprit in mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationship, you see, Saas Bahu, you know, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, many times there is a problem. So what's the question? The main culprit in mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationship is A, mother-in-law, B, daughter-in-law, C, none of the above. Well, what is the answer? Let me see in the chat box maybe. Who is the main culprit? Is the main culprit daughter-in-law, or is the main culprit? Someone says C. Someone says both. Okay. Well, interesting. I want to say that in the mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationship, well, the daughter-in-law may be, a proud, rebellious lady, maybe. The mother-in-law may be a dominant lady. But according to me, the main problem and culprit is the husband. Why do I say that? You see, when the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law are having this issue, most of the times the husband remains quiet. The husband is not doing anything active. If this husband had opened his mouth and said to his mother, "Mom, please maintain this distance. The mother would have been hurt, but that's it. That would have prevented lifelong continuous issues between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. But especially in the Indian context, I have noticed quite a few husbands, Mama, Mama, Papa, this this type of infantile behavior by some of these husbands. I mean, maybe all of you are very wonderful husbands. I'm not talking about you, but I have seen quite a few. These people who refuse to take these stands are the main culprit, according to me. And so leaving, what does leaving mean? This husband and wife, they are making a new family, okay? The parents should not interfere in this relationship. They can give their wise counsel, and that's it. They must observe restraint on their part. If there are any father-in-laws, mother-in-laws hearing me, and anyway, you all are future father-in-law, mother-in-law, so you can also hear this. Please observe restraint. Don't get into, these relationships too much by, so the wife's mother calls up and say, hey, hello, tell your husband to do like this. Put your children in this school. Do like this, and all kinds of interference happens. And sometimes what happens, there's for every small thing, the husband calls up his mother or father, or the wife says, you know what, Mom, today this happened at our home, and then they call up the husband and says, hello, how dare you touch my daughter like this? And everything becomes in Malayalam you say kolam, or Hindi you say khichdi ho jayega, and if it was only khichdi, that's okay, but things become far worse. So leaving is a very important thing, and especially in the Indian context, many times this leaving becomes very difficult because after marriage the wife moves into the husband's home, and many times I ask a question, in that husband home, who is the head of your family? So, because if the husband is staying with his parents, then there is already one family, that parent's family, and then there is his family. Then his wife is now under whom? Not under. His wife, who is the authority? Who is the head of the family? So it becomes quite a challenge, especially in the Indian context. Leaving becomes a challenge. So I am not saying that you should not stay in the same house. You can stay in the same house, but it should be very clear that there are two families there, and that interference should not be there. We can always ask for wise counsel, and that's it. And those of you who have children, it becomes much more problem. How the children should be brought up? Who will decide? Will husband and wife decide, or will the grandparents decide? And in many homes, as a pediatrician, I know the grandparents decide. When the father tries to discipline the child, the grandfather says, hey, why are you beating this child? He is a very small kid. The same father, this grandfather, when he was a father, he actually disciplined his own son. But now when these people become grandfather, somehow there is a strange, change which happens in the melting point of their heart. So whatever, they see their grandchildren and they melt. They say, "ठीक है, no problem. Lace खरीद के दे दो. Don't worry, give it to them." So all these becomes issues. So leaving needs to happen, number one, and then second thing is cleaving needs to happen. So there should be a leaving and there should be cleaving. Cleaving means becoming one. Now, what does becoming one means? See, I have been married to my wife for now 27 years. But we are not Siamese twins. We are not joined with Fevicol or something like that. What does joining mean? Joining means before marriage, we were two individuals. Okay, so there was my books or my money or my car and my thing, and for my wife there is her things. But after getting married, there is not I. That I changes to we, we, or our, hamara, you know. So I have a car. That car belongs to whom? It is our car. I have a house. That house belongs to whom? That house belongs to us. We have children. The children belong to whom? Us. And now I come to the very crucial thing. This belongs to whom? Technically, this is my purse. But the money in this belongs to whom? Our money. So this cleaving needs to happen. People need to be one. In many marriages, I have seen personally, there are two people in that marriage. So I'll give you a formula today, well, 1 plus 1 equal to, according to mathematics, it is 2. But in marriage, something else happens. 1 plus 1 equal to 1. That is the equation which needs to happen. If in your marriage, it is 1 plus 1 equal to, there are two people in your marriage, gadbad ho gaya bhaiya. Things are not going to happen. We have even heard strange things about wife telling, I gave a loan to my husband. Can you imagine? Wife is giving loan to her husband. Arey, it is your money, yaar. You're one. So now, that's the important thing about, leaving and cleaving. Please, this is a very, very important tip. And those people who are not following this, rest assured, sooner or later, your marriage is going to go into trouble. So I come to the third tip, and that is about effective communication. You see, communication is very important. And so many times, the husband and wives fail to communicate effectively. The communication, when it doesn't happen well, that results in misunderstanding. Yeah. So effective communication means there should be a deeper communication, a deeper level of communication. What does that mean? Sometimes the husband and wife, they talk in not even in words, they just make some sounds. Like, for example, they say, so how was the day? Or single words, okay. How was it? It was good. So, this is a very, very superficial communication. Yeah. Then there is a little deeper communication sometimes happens. So suppose the husband attends a marriage party and he comes back and wife asks, how was that time? Yeah, it was good. The food was good, like that. So in 1 or 2 lines, that person summarizes the whole 4 hours ceremony. So especially this applies to the men, they need to make efforts to communicate more clearly and more deeper. So for example, a person can say that, okay, I went to their marriage party and the travel was like this, I met so and so people and this happened and the ceremony was like this and then I felt like this and then this happened and then they asked about you and then I came back and this happened. So, it's always good to communicate, communicate, on a deeper level. And the most deepest communication happens when you communicate your feelings. So you can say, I met that person and then I felt very angry, or another thing, I felt so happy. Or at other times you can say, these are the desires which are there in me. So when you communicate at the desire level, so initial communication was just single words, or little more deeper. Then there is a more descriptive communication. Then there is a feeling level communication. And the ultimate communication is when you communicate at the level of desires. So I would say the husband and wife who have a deeper level of communication, they will have a more healthy relationship. Now, being vulnerable. See, if we are constantly trying to act before our spouse and show that we are some great person, that's putting up a facade, putting up a acting, or a mask. No, it's good to be vulnerable. But caution. The minute your negative points you are showing to your spouse, your spouse should not take advantage of that. You see, why most people, they don't show their weak points to others is because they think that later on that point will be taken advantage of. But healthy relationship involves deeper communication and being vulnerable. Well, be quick to listen and slow to speak. People say the reason why we have 2 ears and 1 tongue is probably because we should hear more and speak less. We don't have 2 tongues and 1 ear. So, this is a thing which we must develop. I don't think it comes naturally to us, especially to people who are extroverts. They want to keep speaking. So it is a habit which we have to make, to listen and listen well. What is it that the other person is telling? Sometimes they are speaking not just with words but with verbal cues, non-verbal cues, and we need to be really try to understand the other person and not just listen to answer. You see, and sometimes in these days we are doing a lot of multitasking. So we are already watching TV, doing something, watching TV, doing something on this, and listening also, and not even looking at the face. My wife, quite a few times, she has complained that why don't you look at my face? So not that I don't like her, but you try to do too many things also. So being quick to listen and slow to speak is a very good habit, and which can help in effective communication. Now we need to learn few golden words. What's the first golden word? Thank you. You see, in the Indian context, it is very difficult to say thank you to our very close people. I remember the first time I learned about the importance of saying thank you. When I went and told that to my mother, something, I said, Mom, thank you very much. She was surprised. She said, why are you telling thank you to me? That's our culture. We think that we need not say thank you to our close people. Not at all. In fact, they deserve the real thanks. You go to a hotel and there is a waiter who gives you 1 glass of water and you say thank you. Or somebody who opens the door, you say thank you. But you refuse to say thank you to your spouse who does so many things to you. So many things. And there is an attitude called taken for granted. That's one of the worst things that can happen. Taken for granted. I'll give you an example. Imagine Now, in Bangalore and all, this example may not be exactly true, but imagine that there is a woman who cooks food. Okay, she cooks food in the morning, afternoon, and evening. So, 3 times a day for 30 days. That means 3 into 30, 90. This 90 times she cooked food. Out of that, 2 times the salt was little bit more, and once the whole thing got burned little bit. All these 3 times the husband says, hey, what is this? But 87 times when the food was good, his mouth was sealed. So what does the wife feel? The wife feels, this is in the balance sheet. She has 3 rebukes. No thanks, no appreciation. For the 87 times she made good food. Now this can be vice versa also. When the husband does so many things and wife just keeps quiet. And once when he forgets something to bring from the market, she says, what is this? You never remember what I said. So, very, very important. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. This is something which we must teach children also. And this, Jojo will be telling you about our next session about parenting, where we must teach children also to be thankful and to say thank you. You see, some people say, you know what? I'm thankful in my heart. Well, if you're thankful in your heart, let us say it. Let me tell the next one. I love you. Well, people think this I love you is only for this before marriage. Once marriage has happened, there is no need to say any of these things. Arey bhaiya, if you love, say it. Say it. If you think that the other person is looking good, say it. Again, some people say, you know what? No, I have love in my heart. Well, if there is love in our heart, then why is it not coming through our tongue? That means some loose connection. So let us tighten the connection between our heart and the tongue so that when we love and if we are loving, we should be able to say, I love you. Say the golden words. And this third one is probably the one which we may have to say the most in a married life. I'm sorry. I apologize. Again, it is easier said than done because, it will hurt our ego to accept our mistake. Yeah. So, but if we have done something wrong, if we acknowledge it, that will really help our relationship. But if we're trying to justify it, well, that's not going to help in having a healthy married life. Now, never lie. You see, suppose a husband goes in Bangalore, he goes to central Bangalore, okay? And for some reason he went. And he comes back to the place where I stay, that is Kotanur, okay, which is North Bangalore. So the wife asks, okay, where were you? Yeah, I had gone to the central Bangalore, I had gone to that Kaban Park area, like that, I said. My wife is happy and everything. 3 days later, my wife meets her friend. So the friend, hello, how are you? Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the other day I met your husband. Where did you meet? Yeah, I met him in Yelahanka. Yeah, what time? Yeah, around 6:37. 3 days back. Around 6:37, 3 days back, I told my wife I was in Central Bangalore. And my wife friends say she saw me in Yelahanka, which is in northwest Bangalore. No, anyway, I am not an omnipresent person. So I can either be there or here. And because this friend clearly said, yeah, I met him. Now, what will happen? See, in this example, see, I didn't do any wrong thing. Okay? It's just a lie for some reason. Maybe I lied for some reason. But what will happen now to the relationship? You tell me. What will happen? Every further statement that I make, my wife will have to put a question mark. Is it true? Is he telling the truth? Is he telling the truth? Is he telling the truth? Now, this lying affects relationships in a very bad way, and not only married relationship, any relationship. You know, I worked in a newborn ICU and I used to keep telling nurses the same thing. If you lie once, then I will be suspecting everything that you say. Okay? So please, never lie. Even if you may justify it by saying, okay, it's not, didn't do any wrong thing or whatever. But if you lie once, then every other statement of yours is suspect. And you are losing the trust. It is easy to lose trust. You can lose trust very quickly. But to regain that trust is so difficult. Dear friends, I want to tell you, never lie. Never. You should be a reliable person. If you lie and you are found out by your spouse, then how can your spouse believe anything that you say? Then there is no point in you complaining that, what is this? My husband is not believing me. My wife is not believing in me. How can they believe? Because you are telling lie with a straight face. Even if your truth-telling percentage is 99.5%, which is a very high, high thing, this 0.5% lying is going to really destroy your relationships. So, effective communication. There are many more things which we can say about communication, about clear communication, deeper communication, vulnerable communication, saying the golden words and never lying. The fourth tip. You see, resolving conflicts constructively. Well, these penguins are having some fight, I think. Conflict. First of all, don't be surprised at conflicts. You see, two different people, born and brought up in different circumstances, different contexts, coming together, living in one home. Conflicts are inevitable. So, don't be surprised, because if you're surprised and saying, why is conflict happening in my life? This is common. Okay? It's not that you are some abnormal person. Conflicts can arise for small things also. Like you read the newspaper, you didn't fold it well. That can be the reason for conflict. You see? Or sometimes somebody is eating and you make some sounds which the other person doesn't like. My point is, even some silly small things like this can cause conflicts. It doesn't have to be adultery or some big problem. It has to be small things. So there will be conflicts. The thing is, we should try to resolve the conflicts. Very, very important. We should try to resolve. Now, when trying to resolve conflicts, first of all, we must talk it over. In general language, people say strike when the iron is hot. But I would say, in trying to resolve conflicts, don't strike when it is hot. That's the worst time to bring up the issues. Okay? Already you are hot. You are and no matter what new point you say, even if it's a very logical thing, that will not get solved. So you maintain composure, and at an opportune time when things are fine, then bring up the issue. You maintain your composure. Then focus on the issue, not the person. Usually when there's a conflict, suppose the wife wants to bring something to the husband's attention, and the wife should say, this thing is there, and I'm not liking that, or it's really hurting me when you're doing like this, or etc., etc. So the focus should be on the issue. But if the wife begins to say, you are always like that, you never do like this, that means now the focus is on the person. Then the issue is less likely to get resolved. Okay? Because when you try to shoot the person, the other person also would most likely take evasive action. And the other person, not only evasive, they might also take a gun and try to shoot, And gun in our thing is not the real gun. This is the main gun, So it's good to focus on the issue and not the person. And one very, very important thing. When one issue you are trying to solve, don't bring other issues. Okay? If you are trying to bring the issue of, when you're talking, you are really shouting and you are not, so that's the issue today. Okay. Deal with that issue rather than some 3, 4, 5 issues on the same day. It's not going to work out. Okay. You can try it and you will come to the same conclusion that I have come also. Okay. So try to deal with one issue at a time. Plus, usually don't try to bring up things which have long been buried. In Hindi, you say, Gade murdon ko mat ukhado. In the sense, don't dig up. In the year 1995, you did like this to me. That is long past, You forget that. That is already done and dusted. Now, if there are new problems which are there, deal with that. Otherwise, that will unnecessarily cause more problems. So, maintain composure, focus on the issue, not the person. Do not bring past issues. And most important, asking forgiveness and giving forgiveness. Marriage, and may I say, a healthy marriage is a union of two forgivers. Healthy marriage is a union of two forgivers who keep on forgiving the others. You will have enough and more opportunities to forgive another person. And, there's a way, because I am from a Christian background and I've been very much benefited through Jesus Christ. I'll give one example that there is a prayer which Jesus Christ taught his disciples to pray. And it's a long prayer, but in that there is one line. Every day the disciples are supposed to pray that prayer in the pattern saying, forgive us our sins as we forgive our debtors. So that's a reminder every day to the spouses that, please, forgive us our sins because we have sinned against you. But at the same time, there's a reminder, have you forgiven your spouse? I want to ask all of you, are you in zero balance? In forgiveness, there should be no pending thing. It's always zero balance that, give forgiveness and also ask forgiveness if you have done something wrong. And that brings me to the last tip for today. and that is we must understand love languages. Well, most of you would be knowing this. This whole concept of love languages was brought by Dr. Gary Chapman. The concept of love languages is something like this. We all love one another and receive love from one another. But any particular person has a preference towards some particular ways of giving love and receiving love. Let me explain. So, this Gary Chapman told 5 different ways people express and receive love. Number 1 is words of affirmation, which means if they love someone, they would encourage that person, or they would say some words like, well done, you are doing well, or you're looking good, or you have spoken right, So words of affirmation. So there are people who would like to do this to others, and that is their way of showing love, or they would like to receive love like this. They want others to affirm them, and they want others to encourage them. Yeah. There is a second kind of a love language which says acts of service. So there are people who love others by helping them. They go to the kitchen and they help them, or they, whichever way they can help, they are looking for opportunities to help. And maybe they also like to be helped like that, by others. There's a third love language which is about receiving gifts. So there are people who show love to others by periodically giving gifts. Very thoughtfully, they will see what are some of these things which they want or they are really in need, and then they give these gifts. Yeah. And there are some people who want to receive gifts, and that's how they perceive love. Fourth is quality time, spending time with others and with the loved ones, and that is their way of showing love. And finally, one of the love languages is physical touch. That means just putting a hand around the person, or hugging a person or the spouse, or kissing the spouse, or physically showing love. This love languages helps us to understand why sometimes peculiar things happen. For example, there can be a husband who bought 15,000 rupees ka sari, for his wife. So he is a middle class guy. So for him, 15,000 rupees is a pretty hefty amount. But he really loved his wife, and he brought 15,000 ka sari. And he thought that his wife would be so excited, But to his dismay and utter dismay, 2 days later, some argument came. There was some argument between husband and the wife, and this wife said, "You don't love me. You are not loving me at all." And this husband ka dimag kharab, this husband is thinking, come on, I love you so much. That is why I bought this 15,000 ka sari for you. And then I went to that Tanishq, Titan ka Tanishq, and I brought that pendant for you. But you know why there is this problem? The husband's love language is giving and receiving gifts. Okay, so he thought that is the way he is showing love. But wife is telling, the other day I was having back pain. You never helped me in the kitchen. You didn't even ask me whether I should help you. Moreover, you are hardly spending time with me. So now you know what is the love language of the wife. Love language of wife is quality time and acts of service. But this guy is into giving gift. When he gave that gift, that doesn't, okay, wife, thank you, that's all. But as far as the wife in that case, in this particular example is concerned, her love languages was acts of service and quality time. So this concept of love languages helps us. In general, we say husbands love your wives, wives love your husbands. Fine. But in which way does your spouse want love? This helps us. So, how do we know the love language of our partner? Think. I can give you one suggestion. Try examining your spouse's complaints. Okay? That will have a familiar ring to it. Like, if most of the time the person is saying, you are very busy, you hardly spend time with me, then you know that that is what they are considering as love. Okay? Or you never help me, you are not even doing anything for me. Or some people will say, you never encourage me, you are always discouraging me, you are always telling words which hurt to me and everything, and they are wanting words of affirmation. Okay. So or some husband says to his wife, or wife says to husband, you never come close to me, you never hug me, you never show, you are not loving me. And the other person is confused. Kya yaar, I am doing so much, I am trying to help and everything. Yeah, that is there. The wife is saying, I made so much good food for you, and how come you are not, you are thinking that I am not loving you? Well, the husband is noticing that, but husband is wanting love in certain other way, maybe through touch or maybe through physical intimacy. So this concept of love languages will really help us to, if used well. Please, as a note of caution, don't use love languages to demand love in a particular way. This is my love language. Give it to me right now in this way. No, this concept of love language is only to understand your spouse so that accordingly you can tailor more of your love. Anyway, we have to love. Okay, love all in all of these ways are good ways of loving. But it only means that your spouse will give more weightage to certain of your loves actions and not give much weightage to certain of your other actions, although all are loving actions. So, I would like to conclude for today. As I told you, this is not an exhaustive teaching on having a healthy married life. For example, I have not talked about finances, managing finances. I have not talked about physical intimacy. I have not talked about quite a few areas. And even the areas which I spoke about, I have not spoken very deeply on it. But nevertheless, I believe this would have been really helpful, and it is more better to give than to receive. I talked about leaving and cleaving, very, 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 very important, especially in the Indian context. Very, very important to communicate effectively. You see, many spouses, they think that the other spouse can read the mind. There is this. Quickly, let me tell you one example. There was this one husband, 25 years after his marriage, into his marriage, they went to a marriage seminar. Only then he realized, he told his wife that the coffee which the wife was making was not good. He suffered for 25 years. You open your mouth and say, can you do it like this? It will be better. So it's always good to open mouth and say in a good way so that things can be better. So communicating effectively, and I told various things, we need to resolve conflicts. Many marriages are in a cold war, and I hope you understand, US and Russia were in Cold War for a long time, which means there's no big top missiles, drones, nothing is happening, but there's a Cold War. That's not good. You see, we may say Cold War is no, there's no, people are not dying and the bombs are not being thrown, but there is Cold War, there's tension in the air, there's thickness, in that atmosphere. Well, conflicts needs to be resolved and resolved well, and understanding love languages. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sunil, for that insightful session and also for reminding us once again that marriage gives a secure environment for family. To all the listeners, there is also the link to our session one, the video recording available in YouTube, posted in the chat. So if at all you have missed our previous session, feel free to visit this Jeevan Jala Sewa Samiti YouTube channel and check this video out. We will also have today's session video posted there soon. Now it's time for questions. As we wait for the questions to come in, there is an announcement to make that is about the next session from Jeevan Jala Sewa Samiti. As already hinted by Dr. Sunil, our next session coming up is on tips for effective parenting, and this is scheduled for 21st of June. And we have again with us Dr. Sunil and his wife, Dr. Shanti, as speakers for this session. So feel free to block your calendars and be available for the session. Okay, one more minute for the questions to come in.
Sir, what about narcissistic personality in spouse and how to deal? Well, for those who do not know what is narcissism means, person is in love with themselves. He is in love with his own image. So very difficult. I would say it's very difficult to help a person. I mean, when one of our spouses having narcissistic personality, but I would say when I say tips for healthy married life, I want to clarify. See, for a marriage to be healthy, actually two people are required, isn't it? If only both people cooperate, it can be healthy and successful. But we are not in control of the other person. The quicker you realize, the better. In fact, one of the tips which I would like to give to people now that personally I have been married for a long time and also I've seen so many other people and I've heard advice of other people. They say, don't try to change your partner. Change means change your partner's character. So, because most of the conflicts come because the moment you say somebody's narcissistic personality, now what can you say or do to change that personality? By saying something, will that personality change? So, I would say what all can be done, you try to do from your part. But beyond that, I don't think, maybe there can be times of frank talk. Maybe there can be times of saying that, well, this narcissistic personality thinks about that person only. So that person can be encouraged to say, to know your needs also, that yeah, these are some of the things which I would also like to be, my needs. So that maybe because that person is so preoccupied with himself, maybe that person doesn't see the needs in other person. So the other person maybe has to vocalize the needs, not demand, but vocalize that these are things. It will be very helpful if you can do this. So gradually that person's eyes may be opened. Oh, the other people also have need. So that's all that I can say to you, Neha.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sunil, for the response. And over to the next question. So this is about to what extent can we be vulnerable with the partner?
Yes. Good question. I think there is an important word and concept called wisdom. Okay. We need to be wise. If you want to say something from your life to your partner, and you know that your partner cannot take it, cannot bear it, or then it is better to love your partner and just spare that partner of that much big load of what you are going to say, you know. See, being vulnerable has two aspects to it. Why are most people not vulnerable, or they don't want to show their negative points or weak points? Because they want to show that they are someone great or good or something. They want to give a show. So that aspect you remove. Okay, you don't need to do that. So you can be vulnerable, you know, and that way you can encourage other person also to be vulnerable, and that will really help. But being vulnerable doesn't mean that you have to tell some kind of things which are sure to, you know, with your general wisdom, are sure to cause trouble, not for you but for your marriage. It's not good for that person, you see. So if it's not good for that person, then I think you must stop short and you must be wise in that matter.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Sunil, for pointing us to use wisdom in communication. And one question, I think this also overlaps with the previous one. What if the person cares and does things only at their convenience? And I would like to also append another question um, from someone who identifies himself as not so religious person. So, how to give wholeheartedly without feeling resentful of if it's not balanced? So, I think this is also pointing to the tip that it is better to give than to receive.
Yes, yes. So see, I would say in the part one of this talk, I had talked about how marriage is something which will reveal our own weaknesses a lot. You see, it will reveal our own cracks, which would have been small crack, but with marriage it will be visible to us. And Jojo in today's icebreaker, he said, "Love is blind, but marriage is a eye opener." So our eyes are open to see how much we ourselves are in need. So there is, I would say, no magic bullet. There is no shortcut that we can keep on giving and we are not receiving and we should not feel bad. Well, that's an ideal condition, but in reality, we cannot keep on giving without receiving from somewhere. Okay, so last time I gave an example of this water tank. Okay, imagine the water tank. This water tank, each time you open the tap, you get water. Very good. But how can the water tank keep on giving water without the water tank getting source from somewhere else? The person has to receive love to give love, because it is there's no inexhaustible supply of love for all of us. We all also are needy people, isn't it? So at some point, we will feel bad that we are not receiving it. At that point, what we will do? Will we stop? The natural reaction would be to stop. But a person who can keep on giving is a person who is keeping on receiving. And as far as I'm concerned, in my understanding, the only place from where we can keep on receiving is God, who is an inexhaustible supply. Now, this person has mentioned is not a religious person. In other words, I think he's presently not trusting in, I mean, not having that relationship with God. So then And if you are a married person, sooner or later you will realize your supply is finishing. You know, you will find it pretty difficult. And I do not have any simple thing. You can be stoic and grit your teeth and keep on giving, and the more you will be angry. How come you're not giving back? And then one day, like pressure cooker, it will snap. You see, you are bottling, so we need, if anybody needs to keep on giving, he needs to keep on receiving. That's, I'm pretty clear on it. Maybe some of you may not agree with me, but I'm pretty clear on that.
Okay, the one last question before we conclude for the day. If there is some problem between a couple, who is the third best person they could turn to, if at all there is one?
Excellent. A very good question, very practical question rather. I think that's where we need to have some wise people, mature people. Uh, you know, we need to be in relationship with some people like that. Okay. Now, this wise, mature people can be parents, but I told the parents beyond a point to get involved is not good also. The other can be senior, some uncles and aunties, maybe some couples whom you know about. Or if you are a part of any religious group, maybe there are some leaders in that group, maybe that. And there can be counselors. Nowadays, there are many marriage counselors and all who are available to whom you can turn to. So in each person's life, it will be different because all our contexts are different. But the prerequisite, what I would say, is they should be mature, they should be wise. Most people, what they do is they talk about their marital problem to their friend who is equally uh, equally inexperienced and equally immature, and they will give some immature kind of advice. So friends means usually they are at your same level. I don't think you can really expect much from that level of people. They should be more senior, they should be more mature and wise people. That can be anybody, as I told you.
Thank you, Dr. Sunil, for your response. And once again, thank you for being with us for the session today. And to all our listeners, thanks for joining us today. And here we have the contact details for Jeevan Jala Sewa Samiti if you would like to get in touch with us. We hope today's session was meaningful and encouraging. Stay tuned for our next session coming up on 21st June about tips for effective parenting. Until then, take care, continue investing in what matters most, your relationships. Have a blessed day. Thank you.
Thank you.